Well, hello again, everyone. It's been a very, very storied number of weeks. I hope you're all doing well out there and staying safe and all that other wonderful, important type of stuff right now. But there's a lot of fucking shit to get you through of everything that's been going on and why some things have been a little slow on the output of like Forever Cinematic reviews and stuff like that. It's not as much of a Forever Horror Month as I intended to be. Let's get through things, but of course, we're dropping Saw commentaries this month. We got the first two out. We're going to be dropping Saw 3 commentary on Saturday, which is actually Halloween. So you'll be getting, as they say, if it's Halloween, it must be Saw. So we're getting 3 Saw commentaries by the end of this month. So you'll definitely be getting those. And we've got some other things planned that we already recorded, me and Steve. And we'll get some other stuff going on later on as we move along. But let's see where things kind of jump onto things where we start off here. So I don't exactly know what I think. At the last video I was talking about Bourne Identity review just hit. I was getting the preview for Forever Horror Month stuff. Let's start with the copyright shit that's been happening, okay? So when I originally uploaded the Bourne Identity review, I got hit with a copyright claim on it because there was a clip on the whole thing that was running a little too long, so I called the Content ID thing. And it kept having this problem. I kept re-uploading the damn thing, and then kept catching different little pieces of the whole thing where once I kind of altered something with the length of the opening synopsis and just made a little bit of a shift, it ended up clearing. But I guess it was kind of like almost like on like super high sensitive alert to just grab something because it just probably already noticed that there was the same video being uploaded, so just grabbing random little clips here and there that I kept shortening and fixing up and stuff like that. Eventually got it cleared, obviously, because I got it up, but about 1 month later, right at the beginning of October here, Universal, the people who handle their copyright claim type of stuff, put a manual claim on the video and blocked the damn thing. And of course I went with the dispute process, which is not resolved yet. Won't be resolved for like another week or so. I think roughly about a week or whatever the case was. It was like October 4th when it got hit. And so it's viewable now because of the process of going through the 30-day review thing where I do the dispute, then the claimant has 30 days to review it and decide whether my dispute is valid and they want to release it or they want to keep the claim on there. Which already happened with my review for the Terminator. MGM put a claim on it, I disputed it, and they knocked it down and just kept the whole thing. But I probably made about $4 on that ad revenue off of that video over the last 5 years. I'm not crying about things. And MGM was just a pain in the ass. They don't want to release things. I don't want to deal with them. They're fucked. They put a claim on my Poltergeist 3 review years ago. They won't let go of it. I've tried emailing them. They won't do anything. Fuck them. But with the Universal thing is the big problem here, okay? Put a video out, they got a whole bunch of things with the Content ID system, which is a problem and a pain in the ass, but I cleared it. Then they put the manual claim on and blocked the video. Usually one of these companies will put a claim out and they'll just take your monetization. They'll just take the ad revenue off of the thing, so it doesn't go anywhere typically. But every so often, they'll block it for whatever reasons they deem justifiable. So, because it's Universal, and I was going to do stuff like The Invisible Man, that came out earlier this year from Lee Whannell and with Elizabeth Moss and everything. That was Blumhouse Productions, but it was released by Universal. And I was also considering maybe doing a Redux review of the 1979 Dracula film with Frank Langella, because I did that 7 years ago. Lots happened since then. The Screen Factory put out that wonderful set with the original theatrical color timing restored. All this wonderful stuff where I don't have that set yet, but if I was going to do a review on it, I would have bought the damn thing. But since they're doing this whole thing where they manually claimed it and blocked it, I'm just not interested in doing Universal movies now, because I'm not going to go through all the work that goes into doing the reviews. The research, the watching the stuff, producing it, and all the days and hours of editing things. Just for them to eventually come along and just block the goddamn thing, and I'm back in the same go nowhere situation where they're not responding to the claims, so they still have up until the end of the 30 days to just go in there and say, hey, fuck you, the thing's blocked again. And of course the Bourne Identity thing wasn't something I planned to end up doing, or just something I ended up doing on the whim. Then I had the bout of insomnia, which is a pain in the ass, of course. And I got back into it, finally got it out, and it wasn't that much of a big viewer. It didn't get a lot of hits, stuff like that. I'm not sore about it, just like, okay, all this horror video that didn't perform very well over the time it was actually live, and now it's caused this entire cascade effect. Of course, nothing's affected with the commentary, so all the Jaw stuff we're still doing, I'm not nixing anything from the commentary slate we had, but with the reviews, since I'm dealing with actual footage from the films where they could do the whole copyright thing, it's just gone. I'm not doing Chronicles of Riddick or Conan the Barbarian now. I'm not doing any of the stuff I mentioned for the horror stuff. I nixed like 6 different movies off my slate. So there was that. So that's the thing that's been stirring around the pot and kind of blew a lot of things off the table that I intended to do this month, but now decided I'm not going to go through that process with Universal. If they're going to have this company deal with this shit this way, I'm not going to deal with it. If they take my monetization, I'll be pissed. But at least the damn thing's there, and I can still have to watch it. It's something. But when you block it, it's like, now it's just wasted time. So there was that. And God, there's a lot of other personal stuff I won't be getting into because that's my stuff. It's not stuff that affects the channel here directly. So I keep my personal stuff back here, and I keep the other stuff where you guys are more interested to know how it affects what's going on here. But there was that. There was the whole thing where last week I had all this problem where I think I downloaded some update with Mojave on my iMac here, and they probably caused some kind of conflict with some stuff in Final Cut, where I was still able to edit the whole retro video series episode of The Night Flyer, but once I went to go export it, it wouldn't do it. Compressor wouldn't launch. I couldn't export the master file, and I couldn't do anything. And obviously I go through all this wear and tear on myself trying to figure out some other loophole around it, because the version of Final Cut I had was not the most legitimate version possible. And so ultimately I had to plop down the $300, thereabout, $299 if you want to get accurate, but drop that to get the full, proper, official App Store version of Final Cut Pro 10. So that was a lot of expenditure on me, where I had to put finances in certain places and deal with things. Thankfully, Trent was at least a great friend on that front or whatnot. He wanted to front a little cost as a gift. He gave me enough money to cover the cost of buying compressors, so that was nice to have. But obviously the other stuff is going to be getting into this pile of stuff I have over here, which we're getting to, and why I can't really expend much more money on buying this stuff until I pay off the cost for the software I just had to drop unexpected money on. After I already dropped money to buy a new Magic keyboard, because the one I had, I was trying to disinfect it as we do these days, and it wasn't the most proper way of doing it, and I ended up fucking the whole thing up. So I had to get, it was the one from my old Mac Pro, which is good, now 10 years old, and doesn't exist anymore. It's in a heap somewhere. But I had to get a new one, which costs, obviously, Apple stuff costs a fair bit of money. And I was starting to have problems ripping Blu-ray disc, and I knew it was something to do with the actual drive I had, which I still have. It's just sitting here somewhere, but I had to plop down a lot more money on a new one than I did on the one I already had when I bought it 5 years ago. So I probably paid about twice as much money to get the one from Best Buy, to get one that was going to make sure it was going to work consistently, because I was having a lot of problems where the thing wouldn't spool up and spin up, and it was kind of having different problems over the last couple of months. I knew it had gone through a lot of fucking effort, man. Not effort. The thing had gotten a lot of mileage on it. I mean, every review I've done over the last 5 years, basically, is me ripping those discs, whether it was DVDs or Blu-rays, running all this stuff for hours and hours, and ungodly amount of hours if you collect all this time I went through ripping all this stuff and all that type of thing. So I got my mileage out of it for not a whole lot. I think I probably paid maybe $40 for it at the time. So when I say double the money now, you know what I'm talking about. But regards to that, so I've expended a lot of costs lately on, once I paid off the iMac, all the other stuff got just gone wrong. So I had to replace some hardware, get some new software, and so on and so forth. So it's been a lot of expenditures lately, and I need to kind of dial things back on spending and make sure I can build things back up and move forward. So a lot of stuff. So again, not like I'm begging or anything like that, but if it helps getting Patreon support. Honestly, seriously, I know there's a lot of stuff out there right now where a lot of people are stretched thin, all these different types of things, and they couldn't even afford to buy the stuff I've just bought. But if you're able to support things around here and keep things a little bit more on the float when these weird ass damn freaking impasses come along, it does help out, guys. But all that type of stuff, I'm very pleased that I've been getting a lot more subscribers. We're getting up to close to 8,000 now. There's a lot more people subbing to the channel, a lot of people watching it. I'm getting to the point where, like, since there's more people getting in, more people watching, I'm getting a lot more ad revenues. Seeing they're building up on that front too, so that helps a lot. So you guys watching this stuff and suffering through some ads does aid the channel on a very big type of fashion there. So, but I had to go through because YouTube dropped a whole bunch of just fucking automatic mid-roll ads on a bunch of the goddamn commentaries, and I very much apologize if you ran into that trying to watch that stuff and it was extremely annoying. I went through most of them. I probably have to go through when I have time to just peer through all the rest of them just to make sure I clear those out and point the regular ones I have. I usually have the ones at the front and the very beginning, the very end. I'll probably have one or two in the middle depending how long the film is. So I usually have one right somewhere around the 20 to 25 minute mark, and then stuff later on in the whole video. So if you're seeing videos where there's a lot of ads in quick succession, just give me a DM or just hit me up on Twitter or whatever the case is. Let me know about it. I know much more about it if you hit me up on Twitter or Facebook or whatnot instead of posting a comment on the whole thing, because a little hard for me to get around to looking at the comments as frequently as I get stuff on Twitter and Facebook, stuff like that. So I want to fix that because that's extremely annoying and I don't want that on the channel. So regardless of that, YouTube ad revenue is getting bumped up a lot more because you guys are watching stuff and all that great stuff. So keep doing that. It very much helps out. Good stuff. So now we've got all the drama out of the way. At least I think that's most of the drama. Who knows? Whatever the case is. It's enough drama. Let's say that. So we have coming up. I did place an order with Screen Factory for the Shocktober sale, which they had a lot of stuff on sale that was a lot cheaper than anyone else was going to have it for. Problem is, because they're slowed down processes right now because of certain real life global issues, I don't know when the thing's going to ship. And one of the titles I ordered was something I was going to do for Forever Horror Month. I still check almost every day, and it just says order taken. I sent them a tweet or whatnot asking, is there any estimate of when my thing might ship? They haven't gotten back to me. I have no idea. One of those titles was the 1988 remake of the Blob. Now I do have the Umbrella Australian Blu-ray release, which has like one interview on it. Where the Screen Factory one has tons of stuff. If I want to do the review the way I want to do it, with as much resources as possible to research the whole thing, I need that disc. And if I cancel the order and I try to find it somewhere else, I'm going to pay a lot more money for it, along with some other titles that we're looking to do commentaries on, or I'm looking to do another review on in a couple months down the line. It's just going to cost me more money later on to get them somewhere else for a higher cost, instead of just waiting. But I don't know how long I'm going to end up going to wait for it, so I'm kind of left in a fog or whatnot, or haze. So there will be another horror review coming up whenever that arrives for me to do that, but I don't know when it's going to happen. When that's going to happen, so that's very complicated. It's very complicated situations. Once I know more, I'll let you guys know more. Once it's in my hands, you'll get like social media posts, you'll get stuff on Instagram, you'll see it. You'll know it. And I'll get a timetable for generally when I'll be able to get around to producing that video. So there's that, and we'll get into stuff I planned for November that's not horror related, but we'll get mixed in back and forth. So, what we're doing for commentaries for November, we're starting up the Expendables. Me and Steve recorded commentary for the director's cut of the Expendables from Stallone. So we got that in the bag. we'll interweave those films every couple of months here and there, where we just kind of need to break it up and get a little variety in there. And we do have something special to drop exclusively on Black Friday, which will be Chopping Mall. So me and Steve, we did Chopping Mall. It's a fabulous time. If you got your restaurant video Blu-ray, we'll have a fun time when that comes around. So keep on that. And those will be dropping a little early on Patreon. If you want to get it up early, like really early, I'll definitely be posting those up somewhere near. At least the Expendables one will drop really early in the month, and then I'll post it up on YouTube a little later on, just to give a little extra incentive there if you want to get in that. But regardless, anyway, so we're gonna get into media pickups because I know you're waiting for that. It's been like longer than usual because of the drama. So that's what's going on there. I'll get into some other stuff what we're dealing with. But anyway, so I wanted to grab this one. I was kind of interested in grabbing this because Patrick Swayze, might not have to know what I'm talking about right now, but I had Roadhouse on the list for a very long time about doing something with it. Video, a review video, or a commentary, something like that. I wanted to get the Shout Factory Select release, and I came across this when it was back in September when I went to a disc replay, which is one of those second-hand used Blu-ray DVD stores. Sorry, my chair keeps falling down on me. But I went there looking for horror titles because they usually have a pretty big section, but wasn't quite as beefy as it usually was, at least for Blu-rays or whatnot. So, but I kept looking around, and they had this for about $15, $16, which was much cheaper than they have in most other places new. So, wanted to grab it up and get some Roadhouse in this thing because I know Trent and I would do a fantastic commentary on this. I know there's that Kevin Smith, Scott Mosier commentary, which is a fan commentary for those guys from way back when, but it's our channel. We got Terry Funk in this whole thing, wrestling legend. Roadhouse is just fabulous. Just fabulous 80s excess action movie. I think this would be a perfect Trent and I movie to talk about. But we'll see where that goes because there's a lot of stuff on here. 2K scan, own commentary from the director, and a whole bunch of interviews, stuff like that. But a little more Swayze on the channel. I did Point Break. Haven't done anything Swayze related, but between Point Break and Roadhouse, that's like excellence of Swayze there. And I kept batting around here because I grabbed up the first Pirates of the Caribbean on Blu-ray when I had my Prime account going. I was like, I could maybe go ahead and do a video on Curse of the Black Pearl. I was thinking like, okay, this would be a nice thing to kind of entertain, a little bit fresher thing to do and stuff like that, kind of mix it up. And generally it's regarded the best film of all of them because the sequels either get really overbloated or they start getting really worn thin and stuff like that. So like the first film is very fresh, a very fresh type of film, and there'd be a lot to get into. And this is the 2-disc set, which has all the bonus features I had off of the DVD, so I could get into a whole lot of stuff. I'd really like to see it on HD. I had Disney Plus there for a hot minute. I think I don't know if I had a free month or did whatever, paid for a month or whatnot. But I think they got new scans of those films up there. They're not super different, I don't think, but there was a noticeable difference, at least in the colors being presented there and everything. You could find some discussions on that here and there. But something to entertain, throw in the mix when I feel good about it. And of course, we will, like I said, we'll be doing the Jaws stuff. So they just released Universal, or my case is on that. But Universal did release this Blu-ray 3-pack at the end of September. Had the eye on it for a long time. And this was like $15 or whatnot. So it was like really good to get because at the end of last year, Steve and I were both eyeing this one that came out overseas that was region free, but it would have been about $25 or so. And we both kept sitting on it. Then eventually I saw this being announced, and that was the end of the conversation. So we'll be getting into Jaws 2 after the new year. We're still trying to figure out exactly where everything is gonna sit down and lay in there, but we got a lot of stuff swirling around and shuffling around in the mix of what we're going to get to, but we'll definitely be kind of doing almost a every 6 month type of thing. Like the stuff we were doing with the Batman films, which we'll get around to Batman or Robin, December, January type of stuff. But we'll probably be doing that same sort of schedule for those types of films, so it'll be kind of good. And of course, I did the Blair Witch Project video, and I did end up seeing the 2016 film, as I gave my opinion, thoughts on that. And like I said, I did enjoy it, so I did grab up the disc, and I had to rip some stuff off it, so it was advantageous. Get a little bit of stuff here and there for it. Not a whole lot, but I still was able to get some documentary footage, behind-the-scenes stuff, and use up that type of stuff on there. So this is probably about $10 on Amazon, so it wasn't much of a thing. But yeah, there was a whole thing with shooting the Blair Witch video and whatnot. It was just like, I started shooting, I shot about maybe 90% of it, 95% of it or so. Knew I had to kind of stop, but I was going to have to reshoot some parts of it, especially with started getting into talking about the sequels. And so I stopped that. I went back several days later after I started doing stuff, and I started shooting the whole thing. I reshot the stuff and shot the rest of the whole thing, and then I found out there was a problem with the audio cable on the goddamn freaking thing. Not the one I have on now. The other one I've been using, the shorter 6-foot cable I've using the now 10-foot cable I had when I was using it for all my videography stuff, shooting Hemi live stuff. So, because I could have the camera moving around the stage or whatnot while having the microphone stationary or whatnot. So, I'm using that one now. Don't have any problems with this one. I guess the other one probably just got a little bit worn out with the connector, and it fucked up my audio. So I couldn't use most of the goddamn footage. Almost ruined my whole goddamn day. Just really put me into a fucking bad state. But eventually got myself back up and shot the whole thing and got it out and stuff like that. So more drama. More drama. For fuck's sake, drama. But I did find out Book of Shadows Blair Witch 2 has been released on Blu-ray in Spain. Has the English audio. There's no forced subtitles. You can get it, but I think it's a little, especially with import stuff, whatever the case, wherever you may be. Might be cost a little bit more to import it here and there, as things tend to be with currency exchanges, whatnot. But it's up there. You can find it on Amazon. You can probably do a little search or whatnot. If you go on the Blu-ray.com forums for any of the Blair Witch films, there's someone kind of cross-posted across all those threads or whatnot, so you could find that there. And if you're interested, grab it. It's probably the exact same transfer that's up on streaming services and stuff like that. So either or. Let's send a note in a sort of post-facto type of faction there. But I did also grab up, there was something about this I really wanted to grab, and that was the remake of Night of the Living Dead from Tom Savini, produced by George A. Romero. Now you're saying, well, why not just do this as a review or whatnot? Just jump on this, because I had a little bit of that there. And I know the original film, the original version, because it's all public domain. It's extremely easy to find a copy of it. But I want to kind of wait until Barnes & Noble has one of those Criterion 50% off sales or whatnot, which they have. This might be at least a good 7 months away or whatnot, but because Criterion did the Night of the Living Dead Blu-ray or whatnot, did a fantastic job of it. I want to be able to get that, and maybe we'll do commentaries on both of them. I don't know. But I do have something stirring in that regard, so I want to at least get that set on the cheap as you can get at Criterion, on the best sale possible. They had a flash sale recently, but obviously with my situations, I can't buy no more shit. So I'm gonna wait, and get around to that eventually, months down the line. But just wanted to grab that. I had this kind of sticking around or whatnot. I need to give this a shot here. I know I heard Savini's commentary on this. It's a little dry, so there's not a whole lot there, and there's just one featurette, so there's not a whole ton to get into. But I think I'll bet it around. We'll keep this around because we've done a lot of remake talk and commentaries this year. I think we could get something out of that. So I'm thinking about it. It's on the pile. They could go either way, review or commentary. But something else I grabbed up, because I do want to cover this film in November, potentially, because I have the soundtrack from James Horner, and that's the Amazing SpiderMan. Now, I did some research, because I already had the regular Blu-ray, but I found out that they had this sort of limited edition set, I found it at the mall for about $20 or so I got a little cheaper than usual. But they had this limited edition set, which had additional bonus features, and a transfer that's a little bit improved from the original one, because they put out the original Blu-ray. Then the year later, they did a mastered in 4K Blu-ray, which had like no bonus features. And then they poured that transfer over onto this one. So it's a little better transfer, a lot more of bonus features. Not a whole lot. They have both Amazing SpiderMan films on here. Only going to cover the first film. They didn't really do much additional for the second film, but I'm sure maybe many people say, why would you bother anyway? But regards to that, so I do want to kind of touch on this, because like I said, I got the whole thing from James Horner here, the soundtrack release. I had that from a few years back. I got the poster up in the corner, so I'll have to move that over and do a whole thing, because the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man was the one I kind of related to the most. It connected with me the most. Obviously, everyone has their own preferences of which actor, which version, which approach kind of worked best for them, what connected with them the best. This one I felt very strongly about, but it's been a lot of years since I watched it. But I've been on a very constant hook to do this, so that's definitely going to be happening when things settle into place. So there's that, and of course, what else has come out that's big? What else has been a big Blu-ray release lately that I'm sure all of you are very, very much aware of? This fucking box set. This fucking box set. This fucking box set. Right fucking here. Yes, I haven't watched much of this. I haven't had fucking time. But I upgraded my iPhone. I got the new SE. Again, stuff that happened before the big software crash of 2020 here. But I upgraded my iPhone to the new SE. And I traded in my old one for a little bit of a gift card at Best Buy. So it took about $30 off, and I felt like, okay, now that feels better. I feel a little more at ease buying it with that price. So it was about $129.99 minus the $30 plus the tax. I was good with it. So I grabbed it up at a local Best Buy, and I couldn't pass. I really couldn't pass it. I was getting way too much temptation about it. I didn't post anything like Twitter or whatnot. It's all been on my private Facebook. All the guys could talk to you about it. Alberto, Richard, everything like that. My guys up on there could tell you all the stuff I was kind of picking and prodding here and there and stuff like that. It's like, oh, they only did like transfers on maybe half the film, new transfers on half the films. There's nothing new on Freddy vs. Jason or the remake, stuff like that. A little, someplace they could have been doing some more stuff. But whatever the case, man, like I said, I haven't gotten through much of any of this. I watched part 2, and it looked really goddamn good. The transfer was really fucking just stand out so much. I mean, it was a lot. It was so much clearer and sharper. The film grain was just really, really awesome in a lot of cases, and you just tell a lot of different qualities about it in motion. I'm looking at some stills here and there, comparisons. They weren't quite selling me quite as strong, but once you do kind of see the actual footage itself, it takes on a different complexion. You can see a lot more in it. I was getting to a point of doing, like I did with Halloween 3, the Blu-ray comparison stills, the footage, cross-wipe comparison stuff. I got the stuff put together for the first film. I haven't been able to do anything else with it. I just haven't had the time. Let me know if you guys are you guys really goddamn hardcore wanting me to do that, because it's just going to take time. I'm trying to find time. It's just a little hard to get the time right now. But I did comparisons on the first film, and the differences were very, very subtle. There was a lot of stuff to really comment on from what I was seeing, but obviously I just did the first film. I haven't compared anything else. Jason Lives, I know there's a lot to compare because they did alter the color, tying back to much more of the blue hues that we're used to, instead of the old Blu-ray, which kind of had this kind of green, murky type of look. So it'd be at least enough to compare there, but regardless of that, it just takes a lot of time to rip the discs, both discs, and convert things and stuff like that, so it's time consuming. To do all, I wouldn't do all of them. If I did them, it would be the first 4 films, which have the new 4K transfers. Jason Lives because it has the altered color timing, And that might be it, because I don't have Blu-rays for Jason Goes to Hell or Jason X. Just have the DVDs. They did two new 2K scans on those, but of course I'm now comparing standard def to high def, and almost like it's not even a fair comparison or whatnot. So I don't know. You guys can let me know or whatnot, because I've gotten through like 1% of this damn thing. Had no time. But Steve has his copy. He got it directly from Shout Factory or whatnot, so he has like the poster and all that type of stuff. I believe he like ordered it on like fucking day one or something. So that's that. I got this right off from Best Buy and everything. So as we said in the commentaries, I got the Halloween complete set, the big one with all the discs, like 15, 16 discs. God knows what it was, but that one I've got all the discs for it and everything like that. So all that other stuff. So like I said, I need to get through some more of this to really explore it. I watched the VHS extended footage from part 2. It was nice. Not a whole lot to talk about. I mean, the quality of the whole thing looks almost like work print in a way, because it's not high quality. It's very good clarity for a VHS source, but it's also dark and murky like it is from a work print in a certain way. So here and there or whatnot. If you ever end up wanting to do like planning to do some kind of fan supercut type of thing, it's not going to cut all that easily, because there's no sound, and the footage isn't going to blend that well with the new 4K transfer. But regardless, I won't stop you guys. Go ahead and do what you like. So this is nice. This is nice to have. I still have the 8-film Blu-ray set from Paramount. I grabbed about just short of a year and a half ago from Barnes & Noble, which I got with a coupon, about $20. I still have the old DVD box set, which basically is pretty much kind of just not important now, but like kind of want to keep the DVDs around for some reason, just like sometimes, I have Laserdisc, stuff like that. So sometimes you have a certain feel for a certain format you want to watch it in, stuff like that. It's weird. But anyway, guys, so we got all that stuff. There's a million of these goddamn unboxing videos showing out all the fucking goddamn artwork and everything like that. It's just like, you don't need me to go through this. The video is long enough as it is. But yeah, there's that. There's all that stuff. And I don't know what else there is to say about that until I've actually gone through some of this to actually comment on it. But yeah, anyway, any which way you want to go with it. But yeah, so some other stuff, because I'm looking at my Alien Laserdisc is poking out there in my face there. Steve and I do have Alien on the books for an eventual commentary. Teasing, maybe, see where we're going to go with the franchise eventually. Because Steve just watched Alien 3 for the very first time recently, the theatrical cut on like streaming and whatnot, so we'll see. Another thing we'll probably drop in every so often if we do it, but we're kind of set. We'll eventually do the Ridley Scott film probably after the New Year, somewhere around that range or whatnot. We've got things packed through the end of the year, and we're trying to get Trent back in the mix. Trent is very excited to do something again with us, because when Steve and I were recording, we figured out we're almost up to 100 commentaries, and we'd like to get Trent back in the mix to do whatever the 100th would be, and probably it would be RoboCop, because that's the thing we've been planning since before this madness began this year, and things got stalled out and all things happened and stuff like that. So we're going to see if we can wedge it in there. See if we can get it in there before the end of the year and kind of shuffle things around to maybe make that the 100th commentary we do for the entire channel. So that'd be very cool. That'd be something really cool to do as a 100th. So guys, we're definitely working on that. And like I said, we want to do Amazing Spider-Man. I'm also planning to do Payback, as I mentioned in one of the earlier updates where I grabbed up the Blu-ray that had both versions on it. So that's definitely something I'll probably do after Amazing Spider-Man to see how I feel about it. But I have that, and December's kind of a little bit up in the air. I might go back to Mission Impossible for Ghost Protocol. We'll see. It won't be exact. It'll be like a 9th anniversary, not the 10th. because it came out in like December of 2010 or 2011. 2011 it came out, so it wouldn't be exactly, but it'd be somewhere around that range. But I'm just thinking things through. A lot of things are in a little bit of a turbulence right now, but at least I'm here. I'm up on video here. I'm up on camera talking to guys, which is something that's been a little difficult lately, dealing with a lot of different other things in life. But as you guys are probably having some other turbulent stuff, but at least we can be here, have some fun, talk about some wonderful movies, stuff like that, and just kind of ease off the other stuff going on. So that's that in terms of what's happening on the channel. I do want to kind of talk a little. There's been an artist I've been kind of gotten up on in like the last month and a half that I think is just awesome, and her name is Mariah Formica, and she just got this fucking killer goddamn voice. She's 19 years old. She's gonna be about 20 next month, and she was up on The Voice a couple of years ago, and she did this killer goddamn version of Crazy on You from Heart. She's just like someone who can match up the vocals of Ann Wilson, one of the best goddamn vocalists in the history of rock and roll. Man, she can measure up to that whole thing. I was very impressed because the first thing I saw from her was her covering Barracuda, and that ain't fucking easy, man. And she was rocking the shit out of that, vocals and guitar. Awesome stuff. And I started listening to her original music, which I think is awesome too, just like she kicks ass as a metal chick or whatnot. She is really fucking awesome. If you're into great vocals, killer riffs, stuff like that, and just like a vibe that goes back to the 80s. She grew up on all this 80s stuff with all this stuff like your Judas Priest and your Bon Jovis or God knows what else it is, just like all these acts or whatnot. And she's got all this stuff mixed in with a little bit more newer stuff here and there, so she's got a wide range. She just did a couple weeks back this awesome vocal cover of Dream Warriors from Dokken. Again, another vocalist that was really hard to measure up to, and she did a wonderful version of it. I think she killed it. She's done some wonderful covers here and there, stuff like that. She's covered Skid Row and a whole bunch of other stuff, Janis Joplin and all these wonderful type of things, Pat Benatar. So wonderful stuff. If you hit her up on social media, she is very, very engaging. She engages with everyone so much and talks to everyone online, and just very deeply appreciative of stuff. And she's really sweet and really cool, and she's a very smart type of woman. I was very impressed with how intelligent and mature she is about how she talks about things, about herself, about rock and roll and all the different things, and the more topical type of things here and there about just women in rock and music and stuff like that in the industry. So like I was very impressed with her from top to bottom, inside and out. I think she's absolutely fantastic, and I just think she's well worth checking out. So you can hit up her Spotify, anything like that. Just hit up all that stuff, Apple Music, all these different things. I'll just get you her official website down in the description below. If you're into rock and hard rock and metal stuff, she is awesome. I think she's well worth your time, guys. She's just kick-ass. Just quickly fell in love with her music and all this different stuff, and her voice is killer. Absolutely amazing. So I'll leave off with that, and of course, you can always hit us up on our social medias. I'm at RavensFilm. Trent is at Trent Subiri, and at Elgin Film Guy Steve Frazier. We're well worth checking out, guys, too. So interact with us, let us know. Whenever you're checking out the commentaries, just hit us up and let us know and share stuff around. It's like we really appreciate it, guys. We deeply, deeply appreciate your interactions and getting your feedback and stuff like that. So definitely get things up. And if you haven't hit up the first two Saw commentaries, please do so you can get ready for Saw 3. And then we'll be taking a break over November, December, and probably get back to it again January or so for Saw 4 and stuff like that. But get hooked up on that stuff, then we'll get a little bit more variety going forward into the final months of the year. So guys, lots of stuff to talk about there, but hopefully you caught up and you feel good about it. So eventually you'll get around to doing the Blob one, but in the interim, I'll probably be focusing on getting up on Amazing SpiderMan and get Blob into the mix once I have the disc in my hands and move forward on other things. So I'll be working on stuff, even if the Forever Horror stuff isn't quite maintaining a complete direct line through things, it will come back up. And There is always the whole thing of me wanting to do like The Exorcist and redoing The Exorcist 3, but those films require a lot of time to prep for because both of them have two different versions to watch. They all have a lot of stuff to get into in terms of research and just watching bonus features and reading up on things and finding out all the details of the histories of the productions. Even with Exorcist 3, the original book Legion, which just got a audiobook version released this year, where I kept waiting. I wanted to kind of find out more from the actual text of the novel, and I'm not much of a reader per se. Audiobooks are much more my speed in a certain way, but the audiobook is almost 9 hours long, and so it's a lot of time to put into it, so I keep wanting to do these films as reviews. I just never quite have the leeway of time to do that much prep for it ahead of time to get into them as fast as I want to. So that's the story on those things. They're always on the list. I really want to do the first Exorcist and eventually do Exorcist 3 instead of back around the other way, because it just seems weird to do that. Eventually, sometime, just a matter of when I have the prep time to do it and I feel good about it. So guys, ending it here. We can get on with things. So hopefully you guys are staying well and doing well and all these other great things on the channel here to interact with us and watch these things and have some fun times. And take care, guys. Thanks much. Bye-bye.